Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Job done then by England. Their first win against the West Indies in the history of the T20 Men's World Cup. And all it took was an unbeaten 24 from Josh Butler to register himself as the top scorer in a game that has to be one of the worst days for the West Indies in this tournament's history. This is Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Gautam Gambhir, Ajit Agarkar, Tom Moody, all with me. We'll make light work of this, gentlemen. I don't like it when the show exceeds the duration of the innings, so we'll make sure we wrap this up nice and fast. Tom Moody, what happens when a team comes in with that 55 all out and loses inevitably? What do you say to them?
Well, you don't say a lot in the halfway mark. At the end of the day, I think even the players will be stunned with that performance. A few of the senior players, the captain would have definitely said a few words around making sure that they go out there and they try to do their very best to, pull off a miracle. If not a miracle, at least put some respectability on the board with regards to their attitude, their approach, try to take a few wickets and make best of a horrible situation.
Ajit Agarkar, you did say that this group is so uncertain that it's not like one defeat will cost you the tournament, even if it's a bad one like this. But what can the West Indies take from a day like this?
The only thing they can take is they got 4 wickets. That England obviously tried. England tried to go hard. There were some positives in their bowling which we perhaps haven't seen before. Hussain looked good. McCoy had something about him. Andre Russell obviously didn't have to bowl, and they didn't want to risk him, obviously. But not a lot. I don't think West Indies will take a lot at all from this game. What they can do is try and forget this quickly and also learn from it. It's not as if you go in the next game and still carry on with the same approach, because that may not help, because it might work on one day, but if you have to win tournaments, it can't work consistently. Even when they won the last World Cup, there was a game against India where they kept hitting sixes, but in between they were good enough to keep the balls out. So that might be the way to go. I don't think just hitting everything out or trying to hit everything out of the park is going to work in this competition.
Gauti, would you cast major judgments after a game like this on the West Indies? Do they need to seriously rethink because there are no easy games in this group? Or do you just want to put this one aside and say, now we can play the same way going ahead for us like it's done in the past?
No, probably the combination again. We'll keep going back to the same stuff again and again. That probably they're just too one-dimensional as a batting lineup. Yes, Akil Hussain looked really impressive. He started with the new ball. He bowled really well. Took that unbelievable catch as well. But again, for me, I think I'll keep repeating the same thing. That if Chris Gayle has to bat, he has to open the batting. Otherwise, there's probably better opportunity for Hitmaier to bat at 3 and then have someone like a Rushton Chase at number 4, because you've got so much of firepower in your lower middle order that you can actually afford to have someone who can actually anchor the inning as well. And plus, Shimron Hetmar is in decent form. We had seen that in the last IPL as well, which has just got concluded. So why not give him that opportunity at number 3? Yes, Chris can come good, but probably there are question marks against serious bowling lineup or someone who's got pace. So probably they can look at that change in the combination. Plus, they'll get another spinner, which can be of great use on a surface or on in grounds like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which are bigger grounds.
What about England? Ajit, that's as good a performance as they would have expected from a game like this?
Yeah, better than what they would have expected, really, to bowl a West Indies team with that kind of ability out for 55. I don't think they would have thought about it when they, or in their wildest dreams, really. But the performance was good. It'll give them a lot more confidence. It'll give Owen Morgan, a better idea of what sort of 11s he needs to play in certain conditions. Their bowling looked really good, as bad as West Indies were with the bat. England bowling looked quite good, and Mark Wood is not even in this 11. So uh, lots of positives for England, and they'll be sitting pretty at the moment.
Yeah. Would you as an opposition, when your opposition's bowled out for 55, Tom, would you be saying we really don't know much about our team? It's not like we're suddenly an outstanding team, or would you be telling this England team, if you were part of it right now, that's probably the toughest game we would have had in the group, and well done, we've made light work of it.
I don't think they'll read too much into it, England. They're particularly the way that Morgan operates. He's very level-headed. He'll understand that that the West Indies had a shocker, and they've taken full advantage and been very professional the way they brushed them aside here this evening. England are only going to get better because Mark Wood will come back from injury. I believe he sustained some sort of injury in the lead up to this game. Nothing too serious, but I think he'll come back into this lineup for Wokes, which makes him even stronger. That extra bit of pace when you've got someone that can bowl 150 or close to 150, it's only going to add to a team like England. So a strong start for them, and they're only going to get better.
All right. One question to all three of you before we wrap things up is whether we can make any firm judgments after day one of the Super 12s. Batting has been hard, and we spoke about that even going into this day. Gautam, can we make any judgments at the end of the first four teams of what we've seen today in the Super 12s?
No, absolutely nothing because they are just early days, to be honest. And all the probably not England because England still lost 4 wickets. All the four teams probably were not at their best when the with the bat. So probably yes, they will have to rectify that as well. Could be the surface. I don't know what exactly was it because four quality teams can't actually have that kind of a performance with the bat. Whether it was Australia, South Africa, West Indies, even England didn't look that comfortable. They lost 4 wickets. Plus, don't know about their David Milan as well, whether he's injured or why did he not bat at number three. So yes, batting for all the four sides is a massive concern. So you can't make any judgment at the moment.
Tom, would you go with that? Would you at all think the teams like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, who've had some time here in that first round, would suddenly hold some kind of edge?
I don't think they've got an edge. What I saw today was four teams that are very tentative with a bat. They've certainly got the quality there. It's not a case of the lack of experience in any of those teams. They've all got the quality, but to me, everyone was a little bit tentative, and in that way, they were hesitant just to play with that fearless brand of cricket, which is so important to bring to the table when you're playing this format.
Ajit?
Uh, yeah, I mean, you don't consider somebody great after one game or really bad after one game either. So you've got to be a bit more balanced. What teams will perhaps want to do is at different venues try and either be a little bit more fearless, like Tom said, or a bit more circumspect, depending on what the situation is. And that's sometimes such a fine line because it's T20 cricket and you have very little time to adjust in the game. But they'll take things into consideration or the conditions into consideration and perhaps reassess what a good score might be or how to approach future games. But certainly a great start, particularly because teams have been tentative for Australia and England.
Yeah, it's been a tentative start to the tournament. So I don't think any firm judgments will be made. Is anybody ruling the West Indies out after one game, looking at how tough this group is? Anybody who thinks that now there'll probably be one more team along with England that'll be better than the West Indies, the defending champions, after a game like this? Gautam?
I reckon Australia. Australia would probably be the second favourites after England because they've got the bowling lineup and plus, obviously, they've got the batting depth, but they still need to play better cricket. Obviously, they looked really tentative in the first game, but yes, they've got a lot of quality. Yeah, but they need to fire. West Indies, yes, they've got a very, very strong batting lineup, but there are massive question marks on their bowling. If you see Australia, on the other hand, they're a much more better balanced side when it comes to their batting and bowling. But yes, ultimately, it looks all good. Everything looks good on the paper unless and until you don't perform on the cricket field. So at the moment, when I look at both the teams, Australia is far ahead as compared to where West Indies is.
Yeah, Ajit, I think you were one of the people that picked Australia in your top four. The evidence of one day, does it seem like that is going to be quietly the team to beat in this group?
Yeah, I mean too early anyway, but they've got the points on the board, both England and Australia. I just felt West Indies just don't something doesn't feel quite right with them, which can easily change if two or three of those batters get going. But it is, I mean, one game is not going to rule them out of the competition, but it's a long way back for the West Indies. They'll really have to do something which is unnatural to them, and that's get some consistency.
All right, Tom, you're not going to reevaluate your semi-final picks from this group at least after just one day?
Am I allowed to do that?
Would you like to?
Look, if I knew West Indies were going to play as badly as that, I'd definitely have a rethink. But yeah, look, I agree with Ajit. I don't think you can make any judgment on any player or any team just on one performance. It's nothing to say that, Evan Lewis doesn't get 100 off 50 balls in the next game and suddenly everyone's thinking, oh, wow, these guys are dangerous.
All right, as simple as that. Let's wait one more game, shall we? The West Indies, they have shocked us with this sort of performance. There's really not much we can read into it when a team's lost at 55, but it's made for a unique start to the Super 12s. Let's call it that. Tom Moody, thank you very much. Ajit Agarkar, Gautam Gambhir, plenty from all of you as this tournament rolls on now on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. So stay tuned for more coverage. It's the big one tomorrow, India versus Pakistan. So do join us for coverage then. Bye-bye.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.